Now we have Natalia Ioffe. Natalia has been a parent and teacher educator. She's been president for PTA, and she's very, very involved in the schools and also in Trenton. Natalia?
Thank you. Good evening, Ben Board. It's so good to see you guys. I'm so happy to be here. First of all, because I love Ben Board. This is where I got my kind of community advocacy start with our block association on Center Street. I'm your neighbor. I'm on 218 Bright Street. You've seen quite a bit of us lately. But back to the school issue, that's how I first met you guys. In 2016, when I ran for the first time for the school board, and I told you a story of how we as a parent group here in downtown public school have managed to generate nonprofit revenues, going from $15,000 a year to $60,000 a year. Well, here we are 2 years later, and we are now generating over $150,000 a year for our school in nonprofit revenues. And as I recently found out, our school's annual budget for this year, it started out as $220,000, but within last couple of weeks, it's been cut to a little over $160,000. So we are now, as parents, matching almost dollar for dollar what the district issues to our school to educate our children, right? And after all that, we hear about these budget cuts. And after all that, we hear rhetoric from Trenton that Jersey City is not worthy, Jersey City is overfunded, we are over everything, we take things for granted. I don't agree with that. My goal, what Angelo mentioned, our parent council, myself, and a partner of mine, we went to Trenton to attend a commission on educational budget, just to see how these things are done. How do these senators make these decisions? Who gets the money and who doesn't, right? And Jersey City came up in the most negative light. They mentioned it as being overfunded, and surely they don't need all that money, and never mind the fact that a huge population of our children is below poverty line. Right now, I believe that any building can be a school as long as there are inspired individuals and parents, to teach the children and to inspire them. My first elementary school was an army barrack in Siberian Russian Soviet army camp. Okay, so with parents and teachers there, we turned out just fine, right? But we are in America now, right? And surely we have enough intellect and resources to go around to make this a much better place for our children. I believe in that, I know it, and I happen to represent a very active group of people, and not just PS16, because that's where I served for the past 5 years, but anywhere in the surrounding schools that you look at, number 3, number 5, number 37, parents have taken upon their shoulders, and beyond downtown, so much to carry our schools along, to carry them to success. And one of the things that I hope to achieve as a board member, because I think it's so important, because we have been bringing the bread, so to speak, we are behind bringing up the teacher morale, we are behind bringing up the resources, doing the fundraising, matching dollar for dollar. I would like the board, the district, to be able to meet these parents, right? To have a true partnership with them, because we're already doing so much, and together we can do so much more in finding these financial solutions to our current crisis of $175 million being cut. And the last thing I would do to do this would be, to do something like a tax, because there are so many other things, as we now know, that can be done. It has been proven. I've been talking about this for over 2 years. We've created these different models as parents, and again, this goes beyond just my school. We just happen to be the pioneers, which is great, but it's spread already. People are doing a lot to support their schools financially. Teachers have taken to fundraising. Teachers have taken to donors choose, because there's so much red tape in the public sector that even the purchasing system with overpriced items such as this, through a school catalog, you could get this for maybe a couple of $1,000. On eBay, you can get it for $500. Right? So if you think about it, I'm a nonprofit entity supporting a public school. I can get this on the free market at a much lower price. If a school is forced to purchase this through their own purchasing system, they're wasting the budget that they could use for a school bus for a trip. Thank you. So that's basically, in a nutshell, you could follow this up with questions, but that's my big issue, right? Where do we find the money? Thank you. Shoot. Thank you.
I wanted to ask you about how could we work with businesses here, because we have just so many businesses here that we could work with, and unfortunately I don't know, has anybody approached these businesses that they could work with the schools?
Absolutely. We have, parents have.
It's
and
not enough, yeah,
it-
yeah.
It's not enough, but basically, I'll give you an example. So we have RBC Capital Markets. You know, they are a company based in, Canadian bank based in the Goldman Sachs building. They called us up one day and say, we want to teach a free coding class, right? That's something, you know, people love to talk about extracurricular activities. That's something that we've been doing. We run an after-school program. How do we generate this $150,000? Obviously not through donations alone. We run two small businesses. We run an after-school program and we run a summer program. When the district cut our summer program, our teachers lost their summer jobs. We brought those jobs back, you know, through our own resources. So something like RBC calling us and saying, we want to teach a free coding class, boom, problem solved. You know, we bring in, as a nonprofit entity, we bring in that class to the school. Children learn for free. No expenses to the district, no expenses to the school. Everybody's happy. As a nonprofit entity, we're able to do so much more, which is why I would like to be able to expand that model to the district level. And I think it's possible. So any business could help, just to answer your question. There you go.
I have a two-part question. You can choose which one you want to answer. Is a nonprofit model sustainable long-term for the scale of a school district like Jersey City? And two, as everyone so far has mentioned, it's us against the state right now. How do you propose that we lobby the state, particularly when New Jersey City and the county are not getting along right now? And how do we start corralling that message and lobbying for legislative change?
I can tell you exactly what I did when I wrote to Senator Sweeney. When, you know, initially in April, we thought that we're going to lose 300 teacher jobs. And we were really scared because we knew exactly what that will do to our schools. You know, the first teachers to lose their jobs would be the non-tenured staff, the young, Ivy League educated, bright-eyed, super inspired teachers. So we were really scared. So we wrote to Senator Sweeney and we said, Senator Sweeney, we understand that you have a certain perception of Jersey City and we would really like to change that. And I outlined everything that I just told you guys, everything that we've been doing, because I want to break that prejudice. You know, and it's a pretty positive note if you think about it. I'm not standing there with an outstretched hand saying, give me, right? I am trying to prove a point that we, as residents, as parents, as teachers, are already doing so much. We do our fair share. Don't, you know, look at us. So he responded, funny enough, and he said, one of my questions to him was, something the mayor proposed last year was, how do we find a way to share the pilot money with the schools? Because when new developments don't pay taxes, they pay to the city, that money does not go to the schools. So several proposals have been made on council level, and the mayor supported it of doing that, but we're still kind of waiting to resolve that. And one of the obstacles was supposedly that the state cannot allow it. Well, Senator Sweeney answered that, what a great idea, you know what I mean? Let's look at the pilot reform. So we're still waiting. That's something that I would like to pursue and, you know, try and share that money with the schools, whether retroactively or going forward. But, you know, the dialogue has started, and it's a positive dialogue. I just want to continue it. I don't see a problem.
Natalia, do you explain what pilot is for those of you that do
I
not?
think these guys know better than me.
We'll do the pilot question at the end, and if anybody wants to answer that can answer that. We'll have to move on. Thank you very much.